thank you all for coming out. I congratulate you for qualifying for this program, and most of all for taking an interest. You have come 3/4 of the journey. You've identified something in yourself which says, I have rights, I want to promote them, I want to lead, I want to help others with their rights. I might be putting some words in your mouth or thoughts in your head, but I think that's true, so I'm thrilled to see you. I know there's a couple law students among you, or prospective law students among you, so I won't try to dissuade you from that career. In fact, I want to show you why thinking like a lawyer, or thinking like a good American, maybe as Gunay would say it, is really important. And to that extent, I want to congratulate the TCA in Lincoln, because some years ago they founded the Turkish American Legal Defense Fund, of which I was one of the lead staff lawyers. And we engaged in a project, and have printed out one of our annual reports and one of the testimonies we submitted in a state legislature, and Liz is working on those for you. But you will see in there, when you look at them, I won't read it to you, summarize it or anything, the nature of what we do. Let's talk about civil liberties. So, have you ever been treated differently because you're a Turkish American? Given a lower grade for stating a Turkish viewpoint in a historic controversy? It has happened. Been denied an opportunity to express your views? Been threatened or harassed because of your ethnicity or national origin? I don't want a show of hands, because these are subjective things. Sometimes you feel like you're being put upon, but you're not. We don't know. So this is a guy. I posted him on my Facebook. Okay? I'm an avid cyclist. I ride my bicycle to work every day, and I go right in front of the White House on Pennsylvania Avenue, where you have, I hope you guys got to see the little non-nuclear shelter that's been there for 28 years. She's great. I love that in our nation's capital we have an ongoing protest, really for an issue that's disappeared. You know, the U.S. and Russia aren't about to launch missiles at each other, but she's still there until the last nuclear weapon is demolished. I'm all for it. But this guy, he's walking around like this. Okay, I'm not doing this to you guys, but he's walking around like this. All right, I loved that, because there he is in front of the White House. He's also singing something, and he has a website like scrawled in lipstick on his chest. You can't really see it. And I don't know what the hell he's saying, but he's doing it in front of the White House, where there's lots of guards who 2 weeks later would let a deranged man run into the White House with a knife. But let's assume there was good security at the time and sharpshooters on the roof with their rifles trained on him, and that's okay. Right? What you are as Americans, what rights you have, what freedoms are inside your body as human beings, these inalienable rights, as we called them in our Declaration of Independence. They are most distilled when we say freedom of thought, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, are freedom for the things we hate. Let's remember that. When you say something that someone else hates, and you feel free to do so, you are most American. Strange little thought, but that is what the Founding Fathers had in mind when they adopted the Bill of Rights, just 2 years after we adopted our Constitution. All right? At the same time, when someone says something that you hate, and you acknowledge their right to say it, to do it, to print it, to broadcast it, you're also being a good American. Okay? As Gunay mentioned, maybe we're going to try to find a universal narrative on the Turkish-Armenian controversy. We can only do so if others respect our rights to say something that they hate, to print something that they hate, to broadcast a documentary or a picture, and vice versa. Right now, and what the Turkish American Legal Defense Fund has proven is that's not so. Generally speaking, Turkish Americans have come out on the short end of the stick. You have been prevented from telling your side of your stories. You have been prevented from broadcasting, from printing, publishing, disseminating, from endowing scholarships. I'm thinking of cases as a member of Congress to campaign on a certain issue. Think of all the cases we've had, to at a university to propose a different set of course materials, to at the public schools of Massachusetts to have Turkish-oriented materials in teachers' guides for them to use as references. These are all things that have been squashed. and which we have gone to court to reverse, mostly successfully. Remember this guy. He's my hero. All right. Civil liberties. We've been dancing around it a little bit. I want to get a little more directly into it. Judge Karahan spoke about them. Gunai spoke about them. Really, they're in the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the U.S. Constitution. I like this 1971 textbook version. It's a version of America that maybe never existed. We never really all dressed like that, but I like it. Really, we find them mostly in the freedom of speech, press, assembly, religion, to petition. That's in the First Amendment. But they exist throughout all the others. All right? I think it's worthwhile, if you haven't already, when you were on the Hill, someone probably tried to press a copy of the Constitution into your hands. Did any congressional office try to do that? If not, they're falling down on their jobs. They should have. I think staffers are trained to do so. It's worthwhile. Pull it up on the internet. Read the Bill of Rights. It's short, it's sweet, and it is your guidebook for being an American. It is, to me, it is the DNA. It is the replicable instruction in every cell or every action you have as an American you will find in the Bill of Rights. Now, because we're a federal society, the Bill of Rights alone didn't give us all of our civil rights. You have the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the Constitution, essentially extending these rights to you regarding the states, not just the federal government, but the states. It's important. Now, this is really where I want to go for you. And you've been asked this question before, I think, by Judge Karahan, is what will you do when you feel that one of your liberties is being violated? What will you do when you feel that another's civil liberty is being violated? The key here is to develop a sense. It's kind of like Spider-Man's sense. We all have a sense of justice and injustice inside of us. Well, I think we know when something is unfair. And we're not talking about someone who steals money playing Monopoly. We have a sense of fairness within the society. We have a social compact when we drive on the roads. In America, not in Turkey, right? Right? You know, when a car drives on the shoulder when everyone else is in traffic and cuts in at the last moment, that just strikes us as unfair. It's a violation of the social contract. If everyone did it, then we'd have, instead of 4 lanes of traffic and 2 shoulders, we'd have 6 lanes of traffic. And we all realize that wouldn't work. So most of us agree with this social contract. We have a sense of what's fair and unfair. What I want you to do, my message for you today, is to develop that sense of when you feel that you, someone you know, because of your ethnicity, national origin, or religion, or the color tie you like to wear, feel that you are being mistreated solely because of that. Whether you feel that rises to the level of a constitutional violation, and vice versa. Here's the key part, right? Vice versa. Can you put yourself in the shoes of someone else who is doing the violation? And to say, maybe they do have that right, and I just have to suck it up. And the way I suck it up is to say, well, wait a minute, I'm going to speak out. I might not go to court, but I'm going to speak out to say, I can stand in a public place and say my piece and say, this is why I'm offended. You need to develop that sense, all right? And I can't say it happens instantly or automatically. It's training. It's training. You have to put yourself in every situation and say, do I have the right to feel, or am I offended? Do I have the right to feel offended? Has a right of mine been violated? Do I go to court because I think this is a serious violation of rights, or do I confront the other person? Right? You're here for leadership. Leadership is confrontation. Right? Think about this. Trying to move quickly. All right, you've been given this message also. Civil liberties are not the cases at the Supreme Court. We've heard about Brown versus Board of Ed, great civil rights case. We've got the gay marriage issue going on, a classic civil rights case. Love these cases. They're awesome. They're in the newspapers. But all of these cases begin at the local level. And because someone spoke out, Rosa Parks got on that bus, in Birmingham, Alabama. Actually, it's Montgomery, Alabama. You can see it. The bus is still there. Small acts of defiance have led to monumental changes in the United States, in our society, in our culture, and in the way we view things. Someone had to go to a town hall and apply for a marriage license. Either a lesbian or a gay couple had to do that. Brown versus Board of Ed. Someone had to try to enroll in Topeka, Kansas. A black person had to do, named Brown, in the white school. The schools had been separated into black schools and white schools. So you have to say, in my school, do I like what's being taught? How was this curriculum chosen? Gee, it discusses the arc of Western history and ignores the Ottoman Empire. Or it talks about World War I and only shows dead Christians. How did this happen? Think about how your curriculum is made. Think about why you are taught what you are taught. And if you want it differently, ask yourself, how do I make it different? TALDF, for example, our Legal Defense Fund, can help train you in how to read a curriculum guide, how to understand how a particular state or locality makes its curriculum choices. When are the moments when public input is invited? When are the moments when the door is closed? All right. Town halls. That's where the policy is made for your locality. Again, who can build what and where, right? Who can drive when and where? This is very important. Public libraries. We had a case in TALDF. Public library wanted to show a video about the Armenian revolt and have a speech by an author who took a contra-genocide viewpoint, and he was prevented at first until a Turkish American spoke up, and they actually reversed their policy. It was great. The Legal Defense Fund advised them, gave them a script to use. So what's interesting is capricious local officials who really don't spend a lot of time thinking about civil liberties, once they have something put in front of them, when someone says, you know what, I don't think it's right, usually they make the right choice. So we've heard it over and over again. And it's not for you people because you're here. You've shown up. You're here on a Saturday, for God's sake, right? That your silence is the biggest enemy we have, right? You're feeling offended, but quietly so. You know, the bulashma thing, right? It doesn't work in the United States. You need baklava and you need to advocate. And you'd be surprised because we are brought up in America from the youngest ages in the earliest school. We vote for our class president. We choose our leaders. We pick teams. We have this sense of fairness and democracy in our bones, in our genes. And that when you tell these capricious local officials, you might have gotten it wrong, most of the time they come around. So as you said, like I say, anywhere a small group of people may be able to enforce a narrow agenda is where you say, I need to be there. Because though you may be outnumbered in some ways, they only have a few activists. We only need a few activists to make something controversial. And that wins the day. So, I'd love to discuss this with you. And of course, I'd like to thank you.